Hey guys, John Locks here. This is gonna be a bit of a weird video. I don't quite know what to title this. I thought about titling it the secret to happiness or the cure for depression, maybe both. Either way, both are effectively platitudes, right? Yeah, but the goal is actually not platitudes. The goal is actually concrete, low energy cost things that you can actually do to improve your life. And if it looks like I'm looking off on one section, it's because the camera's right there. I guess I could be over here. Um, but whatever, So I don't know if you followed my channel at all. I have a history of depression. You'll notice I didn't say I have a history of suffering from depression. That is an entirely different thing. There are times that I do suffer from depression, but I try not to. Um, and especially if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll notice I'm a lot slimmer than I used to be. Like, this is more of my normal weight. When I first started the channel, I was about 40 pounds heavier. And that is one of the things that hopefully we'll talk about today. But if not, weight loss is a huge deal and affects your energy and mood, and so I recommend it. um, so the platitude part, we'll get that out of the way first. Secret to happiness, cure for depression, whatever, is you need to actually love yourself more than other people love you. And I realize now I'm sort of dressed down. I'm wearing like my old military t-shirt and whatever, and I kind of look like shit. I mean, a little bit more than normal, but I'm coming off of a cold, so I'm still kind of recovering from that. So whatevs. But look at it as the what is it, the beggar on the hero's journey. Maybe I don't look the part, but I have the wisdom to back it up. And if you ignore it at your own peril. But basically, yeah. The whole point is you really do need to love yourself. Notice I didn't say like yourself, I just said love. And you need to love yourself more than others love you, because other people, no offense, they just don't really give a shit about you. They might say that they do, but at the end of the day, they have their own issues and problems and life, and whatever you're going through, they're not going through, so they don't care, right? So it's important that you need to actually put yourself first. And so let's talk about kind of just general things to improve yourself. So there's a couple things. There's short term, long term. Short term, it's things like sleep, get proper sleep. Diet is a big one, and when I say diet, I mean like nutrition, not like fad dieting or short term diets. It's when I use the term diet, I mean like something you could eat for the rest of your life without issue, right? You could be on this meal plan for the rest of your life. And that's a huge thing, because like I said, I lost 40 pounds, and that makes a huge difference as far as like mood and energy and other things. Just stability in general, really. So and by the way, if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff, let me know. I can always do more videos or whatever, but this is a video I've been wanting to make for a while. So sleep, diet, work-life balance or job, and this the video is more designed for men, because men and women have different motivating factors, I guess I would say. Men are more motivated by job probably than women are. And to that, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. To that respect, career is important, and especially these days where the economy kind of is shit. something that I probably would recommend is if it falls within your range, your IQ range, I would recommend one of these medical 2-year degrees, like these associate programs that lead into not like medical assistant, fuck that, but the actual like hands-on patient care. So like respiratory therapy, cardiac, um, vascular, whatever, these 2-year programs that actually put you into patient care, but specialized patient care. Um, I am in one of those fields, although I had my training in the military. And they're always going to need you. They abuse the shit out of a lot of people, but they will always need you. And especially if you're good, which I do recommend, I recommend actually being good at your job. If you're good, then you have, the world is kind of your oyster in a weird way, right? So, all right, let's kind of work through this. So first thing, I guess, is sleep. The basic. Let me take a drink real fast because I'm an alcoholic in remission, but I was sick and I was like, I'm gonna get some beer. So I'm down to my last couple, and this is one of them. So, it's a pumpkin beer because I was like, well, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it fancy. It's Thanksgiving ish, so but sleep hygiene is super important, right? Make sure you're getting proper sleep. Um, I've gone through all of this stuff. That's why I'm putting it out there. You want your bedroom basically to be used for sleep only. You don't want a TV in your bedroom. You don't want to play video games in there. You want there's so much that's subconscious, and so when you go into your room to sleep, you want your subconscious to associate that room with sleep only, right? So you want it to be dark, you want it to be cold. You either use it for sleep or sex, not watching TV, not video games, not whatever. Sleep. You could probably do laundry and other like low impact calming stuff in there, but by and large, sleep, right? And try and get 8 hours a night. If you're one of these people that doesn't sleep well, it might be worth, if you have insurance, especially, it might be worth getting a sleep study. And I will say, I got one, and I worried that I failed it. And even though I have a history of depression, that was the time where I felt like killing myself most in my entire life. But, and I say that because I worried I failed it, right? However, you have to rely on the greed of humans. And so these people that you're going to for the sleep study, they want to sell you the CPAP, right? And they want to sell you all those services. And so realistically speaking, they'll probably give you the CPAP. They'll probably recommend it unless they really don't see any problems, right? I have insomnia, so I basically slept maybe half the time, to the point where the dude came in. Excuse me. The dude came in. He's like, "Hey, you all right? Do anything I could do?" And I'm like, "No, it's just normally like this." Still recommended the CPAP, right? Because they want to make money off of you. And so if it helps, it might not help. One of my buddies was like, "Oh man, I put the CPAP on. It was like the best sleep I ever had." Me, no. It took about 60 days for me to get actually used to the fucking thing. And then I was like, this is bullshit. It doesn't work. And then I took it off, and a couple days later, I was like falling asleep at the wheel and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, it's just one of these like really low key. It makes a huge difference, but you just don't notice it things. And so that's a recommendation. Food also is a big thing. All these things, that's that's the thing. All these things kind of tie in together, right? And you'll notice I'm not going to be like, oh my God, you need to exercise or whatever. And it's like, sure, you exercise helps. But, I would say exercise as in like go walk a couple miles. If it's safe in your neighborhood to do so, go walk. Walk around your neighborhood for a couple miles. Do like 30 minutes. Nothing wrong with it. It helps. You get to, especially around the holidays, you can see some of your neighbors, Christmas or whatever decorations. It's totally cool. It gets you, a little bit of health. For me, I don't do it with music. Some people do. I probably would recommend against it. For me, it's a way to clear my head, right? It's a way to work through any problems that I have. I'll be walking, I'll be like, man, my boss sucks at work, blah, 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 right? And I'll just sort of work through it as I'm going. It's healthy in general. There's definite benefits, but it's all right, so sleep, exercise, as far as diet goes, it's really difficult. Diet is, because everything these days is highly processed, has all kinds of sugars in it. It's it's like you just want to get, especially when you're in a bad mood, when you're depressed or whatever, you want something that's like high fat, high sugar, something cheap and easy, and you get that, and those are probably the worst things for you. Now, I'm not saying that you need to actually cook, although cooking is the bomb. It sounds insane for me. I really like doing my eggs every morning. I'm probably going to do some here in like an hour. But, I have a cast iron skillet, put it on the stove, a little bit of butter or avocado oil, drop some spinach in, let it wilt, right? And then I'm on like low heat, probably about a 4. Mine doesn't have numbers. It's just like, there's the middle to high. I'm like slightly before the middle heat, right? So you wilt your lettuce or sorry, spinach. And then I put the eggs in. I put 2 to 3 eggs, a scoop or 2 of cottage cheese, and then you stir it as it cooks. Plate it or put it in a bowl. And then for me personally, I put like hot sauce on it, and that's got all the salt and everything else you need. And there's just something really nice about cooking. It's very routine, it's very calming. Generally speaking, you get what you get. You get better at it. If it's terrible, if it's overcooked, If it's undercooked by a little bit, it's you know what I mean? But you improve over time. The first time you do it, better to overcook it, by the way, than under. But it's there's multiple layers of reward, right? You cook it, you eat it. It's nice. It's calming. It's something that you can improve upon over time. It's really great. Lately, I've been putting like turmeric in it as well. But you want to put your spices after, right? Not during, because it kind of breaks down the eggs and stuff. Makes them runny. You don't want that. But however you want to do it is fine. You could do. I love over easy myself. Soft boiled is the bomb. Also, if you get like a little soft boil thing. But yeah, eggs are great. My recommendation for food would be the least processed stuff that you can and low carb, right? So eggs, you can get like a block of cheese and cut pieces off of it as a snack. You can get I eat a lot of fruit. I get like a thing of blueberries, and I just eat like a handful, and that's basically a meal. You want to avoid all the processing. You want to also avoid anything that claims to be low fat, because what they do is they take the fat out, but they add a bunch of sugar, and so you want to avoid that. Basically, the more almost like paleo, but the least processed stuff, the better, right? Um, and like I said, if you want, we can go more into that, but that's kind of the general rules. You'll have to do your own research. There's just too much info out there for me to condense it appropriately in a short for me video like this. But yeah, low carb, low processed stuff, food wise. And so when I say low carb, I mean no pastas, no potatoes, no starches, no breads, no beans. Beans are high in sugar. If you want to know, look at the glycemic index chart, and that'll show you where like the high carb versus the low carb stuff is. But basically, try and stick to meats and vegetables. Cut out the grains and the breads and stuff. The pastas, they're delicious. Pastas are delicious. I love the pasta bar. I love a good noodle salad, but they're especially if you're overweight, they're terrible. Unless, you can always do more exercise, like go run miles, go do a bunch of push-ups, sit-ups, core exercises, whatever. But most people do not, so there's that. So sleep, diet. Man, I really thought about like all the different things I could do, but I think job is probably the biggest thing. So stress is huge. And especially for men, the job that you do is sort of the core reason for existence a lot of the time. Excuse me. First, before anything else, one thing I would recommend is either doing an IQ test or the military's ASVAB, the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, ASVAB. Now, the problem with doing the military one is you're going to have recruiters calling you, especially if you're good. But, I'm where I am because of the military. Military has changed. There's a lot of bullshit. A lot. If you are able to survive, then it can lead you to great things. But it also has a lot of pitfalls. So it's something to be really mindful of, shall we say. So, but the reason I say do an IQ test or the ASVAB is you want a job that is easy but not too easy, but also challenging but not too challenging, right? So there is a range, right? And if you do the ASVAB, it has a second part that no one ever knows about, that actually tells you how to interpret the results. Recruiters don't give a shit about that, by the way. Something to be aware of. I don't know. There's a sample one online. I don't know if that would be enough because that usually tests for, I think, if I'm remembering right, it only tests 4 out of the 9 areas, and you want all 9 because they show you your different aptitudes, like the mechanical and other stuff, right? So as far as job selection goes, the military test is actually way better because it's more job focused, but you got to deal with all the bullshit like recruiters and all that stuff. Well, hello, Jack. And it's your call, right? You gonna come up here? But oh my gosh, you're crazy, man. So the thing is, you get your and the ASVAB is based off of an IQ test as well. So IQ tests work, but maybe they're not as good, right? So what basically happens is you get your IQ and there's a range, and what it says is that these are the typical jobs that you would that are best suited for you. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, that's bullshit, right? But especially as I get older, I'm like, there's definitely something to it. Are you coming up here? Okay, cool. Um, because like I said, you want a job that's easy but not too easy, but and also challenging but not too challenging, right? So you want it to be engaging while also not being, stressful or easy. You want like the middle ground, right? Because on your bad days you want it to be okay. You want to be able to coast, but on your good days you want it to, give you something, right? So do an IQ test or the ASVAB and then look at the range. And that's why I recommend, if you are in the range for some of these 2-year medical programs at a college, then it's a good idea. It's a good idea to do those because, like I said, they suck. They suck a lot of the time, but they are decent jobs, and especially if you can find a job that is decent, then it's totally worth it. They pay well. They're always going to be needed because they abuse the shit out of other people a lot of the time. Um, Something we're not really going to go into in this video is the whole financial literacy thing, but definitely, as you know, live within your means, especially if you're a dude. You want to spend as little as possible. Spend as little as possible and go for, you want to build your foundation. That's the thing, right? So I'm not necessarily saying buy a house, although there are pros and cons to each, right? If you live in an apartment and you get the cheapest one that you can, that is safe, then you can put away a lot of money in investments and stuff and let it grow that way. Or you do the house thing, which is expensive but is a proper foundation long term. Like it's effectively rent controlled. But like I said, we're not going to go into the finance thing today. The big thing is the money issue. Why is that important for depression and happiness and all that stuff? Because it provides you a income, and for men, it honestly usually provides you a purpose, and it's sort of it's kind of like life, right? It's where all of your social, for men generally speaking, it's all of our social network is through work. It is both challenging and it generates money, right? So if you're working a shit job like retail or something, then uh look at one of these 2-year degrees, because like I said, especially cuz here's the thing. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of guys that are intelligent, like gamer. Anyone that's watching my channel is probably a gamer, right? Gamers typically are intelligent, introverted, shy, whatever, not good with people. Um, but these 2-year medical degrees are the perfect jobs for those people, because you do have to deal with patients, um, but you're more on the treatment side. You're not on the managing patients. You walk in, and especially if you know what you're doing, you're like, you could talk to the family and, oh, this is what we're doing, this and blah 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 blah, we're doing this and that. But it's not like a nurse where you have to, it's not, you're just not managing the family or the patient, you're also managing the family. um you literally walk into the room, do whatever you got to do, and then leave, you know and it's like I said, it's not bad. It's not, some of these jobs are really, really good. Some of them fucking suck. Just be aware. And that's why I'm saying, be good. Be good at your freaking job, because if you go into these fields, you're gonna get abused. But the better you are at the job, the better opportunities you will have, right? Especially if you're fantastic at your job, you might get other people that you know professionally, and they might be like, hey, there's this job opening that you might be good at, right? So they will literally hand you a job on a platter, and it's a good one. You know what I mean? It's that's it, but they all require work. You know, it's not like if you're one of these people that's like, what's the least effort I can put in? It's probably not going to work out because they will demand that you work hard. So, um, okay, so we've done sleep, diet, indirectly, we've done weight control as far as, you know, depression and mood and all that stuff. We've done job. Those are kind of the big ones. Any questions you guys have? I think that's probably good. Good luck. That's all I have to say. Life can be really hard. It is hard to navigate. It is hard just in general, and there's a lot of bad things out there, but you know, at the same time, a lot of you guys are very resilient. You know what I mean? It's it's I don't know. I don't know how to say this. It's just keep your chin up, I guess is what I'm saying. Right, Mr. Jack? It's it's so difficult out there. And um but I believe in you guys, which is lame. It, it's it's super lame. It's so lame to say, but it's like so many of us are actually really tough. Like we don't give ourselves enough credit, and that's part of the reason why I'm putting this video out there. It's like you guys have the will, you just don't have the knowledge. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I'm semi intoxicated right now, right? And I don't know if you guys have ever been like walked home drunk, where you're so drunk and you're walking on the sidewalk and you're just trying to stay on the sidewalk, like you're swaying back and forth, and it's like you hit one side and then you that's when you know you need to turn and head the other direction, right? You're just trying to stay in the lines, and that's kind of life, you know. Life sucks a lot of the time, but you're just doing your best. And that's all you can do. And I really do think a lot of you guys have that capability. And so um, I've been thinking about this video for years. And now that I've done it, I feel like it's definitely inadequate. But at the same time, it's like I feel like this is probably a decent primer for, you know, it's a good enough like sort of overage of the basics, right? And what I said about the secret to happiness or the cure for depression, that's really what it is. You know, keep moving forward, focus on yourself. You know, I can't really talk to the women a whole lot, but they don't typically watch the channel anyway. If you're a guy, you understand the building, right? You want to build up your foundation, you want to do a little bit better. There's things that you can do that you're expected to do, or whatever, but by and large, um we seek improvement in our own lives, and that's where we gain our satisfaction from, right? Whether it's knowledge, whether it's losing weight, whether it's a little bit of exercise, whether it's um you know, the career, the achievements in the video games, or whatever. there's there's so much there's so much bad, but there's also a lot of good in the world as well, and that's kind of what I'm trying to, you know, leave as like in I'm trying to put out the good in the world. um but yeah, you know, go out there, go take a walk around your neighborhood. If you have like for me, I have a house, right? And just walking around, it's really nice. Walking around an actual neighborhood is really nice. um I was in an apartment for a long time. uh And having a house is definitely way more expensive than the apartment was. But it's, it's something I'm working towards right now. I'm working towards the retirement and all that stuff. So, um, that is, I guess, try some of these things. That's all. That's all you. Oh, Jesus Christ, are you that hairy? I swear I saw hair flying around. Um, Try some of these things. Try like cutting back on the fast food. Try cutting back on the candy. Try sleeping a little bit better. Try, you know, I see a lot of these like streamers and stuff, and their bedroom is the same room that they have their streaming set up in, and try not doing that. Try moving your streaming setup out of your bedroom. Literally have your bedroom just for sleep. See if that works. Try it for a month. If it doesn't work, screw it. You didn't lose anything. You lost a little bit of time moving your stuff, right? If it does work, then it's amazing. But that's basically it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you made it all the way to the end here, hopefully this video was good. Like I said, it's a video I've been wanting to make for a while. I feel like I have a lot of relevant info that I can convey. And if you guys have any questions, leave a comment, right? Like, so questions, comments, concerns, good, bad, or indifferent, let me hear them. I do read all of them. I do try and respond to all of them as well. A lot of the comments get memory hold. YouTube does not like the comments. About 40% of them get memory holds. Just if I don't respond to you for whatever reason, it's probably not you. It does take me a few days, so bear in mind, if I haven't responded to you in like 4 days, then it's probably been memory hold, because I do try and respond to everybody. But yeah, I don't know. Just, I'm rooting for all you guys. You know what I mean? There's so much negativity in the world. There's so much like down stuff, and I feel like I'm in a uniquely capable position to where I could be like, here is a solution, or at least here is a way you can improve your stuff, right? So that's it. That's it. That's all for today. Hope to see you guys next time. Till then, guys, take care.